It's October 20th, and we still have Blue Jays baseball. Not only that, we have a Game 7, only the second in franchise history. Kyle and Dan with Keegs, a man we've spoken to since every single week for the entire season. When you looked at the calendar, Keegs, on October 20th, did you say, oh, yeah, there's going to be a Game 7 in the ALCS that day? I better clear the books.
I thought I'd be on the couch, Dan. Let's be honest. It's by this point of the year, I always think of it, Dan, in terms of could I confidently RSVP to a wedding or book concert tickets, for example. And I'll admit, I had bought concert tickets earlier this summer for an October 3rd show, which ended up being the night before the ALDS. Had to get rid of them. But I did not think we'd be here. I thought the Blue Jays coming into the season would be just about a 500 ball club. And it's important I don't pretend. You know, this is who I thought the Jays would prized and surpassed every expectation I had. This has been unbelievable to cover, and a Game 7, man, just the second in franchise history, going back to the 85 ALCS, which for folks who remember it is not a happy memory.
Keegan, let's go back to late in the season when the Jays were looking to acquire another arm, and they came across the arm that's starting Game 7 tonight, Shane Bieber. He's going up against Kirby. Well, how do we feel about this matchup? Because arguably his last start for the Blue Jays was one of the best that he's had since he was acquired.
Yeah, that was the best I've seen him. And he allowed the 2 runs in the first inning, I believe, on the home run. And Bieber went back into the dugout that day, guys, telling his teammates, like, pick me up. I have good stuff. I know I have my best stuff. Pick me up. And I like seeing that fire from Bieber. It's not something we always see. He's typically more of a calm, very chill, very California guy. But you're seeing him rise to those postseason moments, which against the Yankees, he didn't. It was a pretty ugly one against the Yankees, but I think he matches up very well against Seattle. And guys, if he goes out and wins Game 7, that's the best move Ross Atkins has ever made, I think, period. I would put it above so many of the signings. I mean, extending Vladdy, that's an obvious one. You want to do that. But the risky transactions, the surprise transactions, this would blow all of them out of the water. If you can win a Game 7 in this city, I don't care if Shane Bieber's only here 3 months. He'll be forever a Blue Jay. He'll be back at the alumni events, man. It'll be big.
And the dollar figure on winning a Game 7, that's an extra $1 to $2 million a year.
Oh, God, yeah. Big day for him. Probably even more than that, guys, because going into free agency, he has all the eyes of the baseball world. Like, everybody's watching this. Every team, every agent, every player, every executive is watching this game. And Shane Bieber is a free agent who will either be a kind of mid-range curiosity with upside, like a guy who can still get a real legitimate deal, or he's going to be the guy that's asking for a few $100 million as a starter. You know, a guy who you can sign to a 6, 8, 9-year deal. And one big dominant performance in a Game 7 in an ALCS will help a long way for that. So there's always motivation of the team and the sport and everything else. Money is a great motivator, fellas. And who else would I rather have on the mound than a pending free agent? I don't care what they throw. A pending free agent. That's who I want.
So, Keegan, let's talk about that. Those 2 runs he gave up early in the last game, because he does seem to have that inning every game, and we've talked about that extensively. But this is now Game 7, and I mean, I guess a concern of the fan base after the way the last few games have gone is maybe his leash would be too short in a scenario like that, where he gets pulled too early and Schneider, flinches when he zigs when he should have zagged with him and doesn't give him that leash that a workhorse like him should actually have. You've seen Dave Roberts leave his horses out there, and it's led them to a sweep against Milwaukee. How long will his leash be tonight?
I think they should let him roll, honestly, guys. If he is pitching well, let him roll. And I liked what John Schneider did last night in Game 6. He brought in Jeff Hoffman, left him in there for 2 innings. That worked out a little bit better than Brendan Little. I like that idea a little bit more. But I think this is the time to trust your best guys. And unless the matchups are extreme, like unless you are facing the biggest righty masher in all of baseball, I don't care about matchups anymore. And if you're going to lose with your best guy out there. I know it's fun to have Max Scherzer and Kevin Gausman out in the bullpen. I don't think that's going to be an idea we see unless it's the 12th inning. And Jeff Hoffman coming off 2 innings, I don't know how eager I'd be to throw him out there. What if he's throwing 93 instead of 96? Sir Anthony Dominguez, great reliever, but if Shane Bieber is rolling, I don't care about him seeing the lineup for a third time. And I don't care about those small matchup advantages as much right now because we saw guys with Brendan Little that the postseason can crush people. And it's a little different than the regular season. If a guy looks comfortable, don't bet on the next guy looking comfortable because he might break down. I'd love to see Bieber really get some run in this.
We've had Bobby Valentine post game after every Jays game, and he was ticked off after what he witnessed last night when Schneider came out to take out Savage, which was the right call. He'd lost his fastball. He gave up a home run, then a hard hit ball. And he said, the fans booed him all because of Scherzer and what he did to him. Was that the feeling in the clubhouse? I think he would have got booed no matter what because Savage was dealing, but they went through all the checklists. They're like, no, this guy's got to get out of the game.
Yeah, I think he was getting booed no matter what, guys. And that was the right place to pull a starter. Like that's where you do it. And the home run, there was some hard contact coming. And guys, he had loaded the bases 3 innings in a row. Yeah, it's cool as hell that he got out of them. And wild that he got out of those. He hadn't forced a ground ball double play in the big leagues yet. Not a lot of sample size. He'd only done it twice in the minor leagues, which is 98 innings. Like he's not really a ground ball guy. And he's someone who, if his back's against the wall, he's trying to strike you out. So the fact he did that in 3 straight innings is just stupid. I couldn't believe that he did that, especially the first one with Cal Raleigh. That play that Vladdy started was one of the best plays of the year. Yep. But when a guy has loaded the bases 3 innings in a row, and then he's adding some more base runners, I mean, pull the damn parachute, okay? It's If Schneider had left him in, the conversation we're having right now is you left this base-loading guy in there, and he just gave up the lead. So that was the right move. That's like textbook ideal time to get a guy out of the game. And we saw last time out too, guys, Savage's velocity dipped a little bit. Get out before that stuff happens. And I think he did a good job. Schneider did.
You just mentioned Vladdy. Vladdy has 6 home runs and he's only struck out 2 times this entire postseason. Is he the key to Game 7 tonight, offensively speaking, at least?
Yeah, he's the best player in baseball right now. And this guy's reminds me of Vladdy in the minor leagues. And it reminds me of when he was in Lansing and New Hampshire and briefly in Buffalo, which is something in the minor leagues I don't know if I'll ever see again. Like, I don't know if I will ever cover a prospect that dominant like Vladdy was as a 17, 18, and 19-year-old. But what he did is the hardest and maybe the rarest thing in baseball, which is as a hitter controlling the at-bat. A hitter is automatically at the disadvantage. They are like a cornerback in the NFL. They never get to make the first move. They're always at the disadvantage. That's why success is beating the guy 30% of the time. Vladdy in the minor leagues as a kid, when he was the next big thing, he could control an at-bat and made the pitcher look like he was just a supporting actor in all of it. He's doing that again. And to do that in the big leagues and to do that in October is wild. Like, I've never seen anything like this from Vladdy. I have never seen anything close, frankly. And he is locked in. I think he's a little pissed off, which I love. And he's not accepting failure in this. And I think that's important, guys. I think the Blue Jays, I think this organization, and at times I think this city has been happy just to be included in the playoffs and has considered it successful just to grab a wild card spot and have a cup of coffee. No, this is Toronto. This is a big club. And Vladdy, I think, is leading the energy of this team, too, in an incredible way. This is what everyone dreamed of for years.
Vladdy, his home run, his bloop single that I think he hit the ball 3 times with his broken bat, all the double plays. Lost in the shuffle is Addison Barger, who finally looks comfortable at the plate again.
He does. John Schneider said that Barger made an adjustment in Game 2, moving his hands up just a little bit, maybe choking up half an inch. I'm not totally sure how fine that got, but Schneider spoke about how impressed he was that Barger was open to it and could pull it off, because Addison is a ridiculous athlete. Like I have never covered a baseball player, probably never will cover a baseball player that is in the shape of Addison Barger. He is like just complete bodybuilder, jacked as you can get, which normally in baseball, guys, can hurt you. Normally you get a little too rigid, a little too built up, and you lose your mobility and your flexibility. But he's such a gifted athlete, and he's so explosive. So all he needs to do is make contact with the ball. He does not have to have the biggest, best swing in the world. The mechanics do not need to be flawless. He's just got to make contact with it. And Barger has been such an important piece, guys, going back to when Santander hit the IL. The Blue Jays needed another bat. They needed somebody. Barger didn't start the year on this team, which even I forget all the time, but he's been huge. And he's a guy who, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this, fellas. Some players need to stay away from overthinking the game. That is not an issue for Addison Barger. And you think back to a lot of great hitters who just don't let any noise in. It's just another day. Sometimes the pitcher gets them. Sometimes they get a hit, whatever. And I think that the way Addison approaches the game is kind of built for the playoffs, because he doesn't seem worried about any of the noise at all, man. It's pretty cool.
Who could be sort of an unexpected hero, or, there's the odds of them pitching around Vladdy are pretty high. If in the right, they're going to need someone else to step up tonight. Should they take game 7, who would you expect to see fill that role?
I like Dalton Varsho, guys. He's been driving the ball, had a couple of hard hit balls in the air yesterday. We know what he can do defensively. He might pull back a home run and change this game. He might have a catch we're talking about for 50 years in this city. Like, he's that caliber of player. But Dalton's power is such an underrated skill. Even though we see the home run numbers, we've seen the efficiency of his power this year. He is such a gifted power hitter when he can pull the baseball. Now, Dalton is, I think, listed 5'8", and it's probably a generous listing. Like, he is not what you think of as a power hitter, but pound for pound might be one of the strongest players in baseball. Like, he is built. And when he can turn on a ball, he can hit it as far as anyone. He has the power outside of Vladdy that anyone on this team has. And I think that Varsho, lower down in the lineup, can be a player who really changes this game. Now, Ernie Clement and some others are also threats, but Varsho, man, I keep coming back to him. And a lot of the balls he's put in play lately feel like ones that are about to turn into a home run.
And he's had a lot of walks back to the dugout. I don't know his strikeout count, but from my outside view in, the rage is slowly building up, and that's a good thing, I think.
It's like a polite rage. It's a Wisconsin rage. He's beloved. He's kind of like everybody's little brother on the team, and is such a great fella. But you can see that rage building up where he's probably muttering to himself, but not cursing, if you know what I mean. Like, there's just like some aw shucks involved with that. So it's coming. I feel it's coming.
Hey, Keegs, when they do the movie on this year's Blue Jays team, tell me that they will have a scene where after game 5, they lose in Seattle, where the team all goes up man after man to Brendan Little and say, "We got you. Don't worry about it."
I like it. They can dramatize it. I think a few guys did. Kevin Gausman definitely did. And Kevin Gausman, like, I have more respect for Gausman than just about anyone in baseball, man. I as a pitcher and as a person, I really, really do, being around him now for 4 years. And he spoke about going up to Little and just telling him, listen, you've gotten big outs for us. You're going to get big outs for us. And having his back in that moment. And I asked Little about that when we spoke to him at his locker. And that got him kind of emotional. Like, his eyes welled up a bit. And it's a tough moment, man, because let's be real. I don't interview Brendan Little during the season. We do not crowd with 5 cameras and 30 reporters around Brendan Little in Baltimore in like May and June, right? It only happens to some relievers, unless you're the closer. It's kind of like being a punter in football. If you're talking to the media, things have probably gone really, really, really poorly. So I respect him a lot for talking to us. You don't have to. And I know I
just wanted to hug him when I saw him.
Yeah, it was tough. The scrum went about 3 questions, and I had more questions, but I just kind of knew that was a spot to like, okay, get out of here. The guy's done enough, but man, I think his teammates had his back, and they respect. I think more than fans may understand, players respect a guy who plays a lot. He made 79 appearances this year. That's something that players really, really care about, that fans may not talk about as much. A guy who posts as much as him, and he led their team, he led the organization in appearances this year. I don't know how it was only 79. I feel like I watched Brendan Little come out of the bullpen 150 times this year, but not his best. Bad timing.
The Jays offense is so prolific at times that it's not as though it's flown under the radar, but I don't think their defense gets as much love as it should. And now we've talked about the defense last night with the double plays, the turn from Vlad at first there. Bobby Valentine said himself, he's one of the only players in baseball catching in the left side of first that could make that throw. Dalton Varsho, you just said, could steal a big hit, get a big out for them with his glove. How much intimidation does that place on Seattle, knowing you can't just squeak a ball through? They're not going to fumble stuff. They made 3 errors last night, and the Jays took advantage of them.
Yeah, just look at that inning Eugenio Suarez had before he eventually ended by robbing Vladdy, but he screwed up 2 of them prior to that. And a good defense suffocates the other team. The Blue Jays have done this in their past 2 series. They did it against the Yankees, who booted it around, Volpe and some others. If you make the most errors in a game in the postseason, it's really damn hard to win. That goes for any game, but in the postseason, the margins are thinner. The teams are so good. The pitching is so good that if you give a team a run, you're toast. And the Blue Jays, I'll include Alejandro Kirk in that too. And I'm watching him steal strikes low in the zone, watching him control the running game. He almost picked a guy off at first yesterday. He's incredible. Vladdy, that throw, I know it's not as sexy as a home run, I get it, but it's probably one of the coolest plays he'll make this year. Nobody makes that play. And it keeps the Blue Jays above water in such a basic and simple way that even I, covering the team, I lose track of, because I'm used to it at this point. They've been an elite defensive team for 3 or 4 years now. You get used to it. But then when I'm watching Eugenio Suarez make those plays, guys, like I'm not a fan of a team covering baseball, but I'm a fan of good baseball, and bad baseball pisses me off. Like, I get cranky in the press box when guys boot the ball around and make fundamental mistakes. And watching those plays, I'm thinking, like, what the hell, guys? This is the ALCS. But the Blue Jays don't make those plays. And that's been the difference, and I'm betting it's going to be the difference again tonight.
Yeah, Bobby Valentine even blamed the throw to third where Vladdy scored on Suarez as well, said he was in the wrong position. Yep. So looking at Kirby's stat line, he's the starter for the Mariners tonight. If I'm a Mariners fan, I am terrified. 4 innings, 8 hits, 8 runs, 8 earned. I think the Jays might be in the situation where the hitters might be too eager, because they are well aware of that stat line as well, when they might be running to the plate.
This is a mismatch, I think, to start the game. We'll see how it goes. But the Mariners starters, guys, have not impressed me, outside of Bryce Miller, who I think should have been left in longer in his second start. But when I look at Gilbert and I look at Kirby, I'm just seeing a lot of meatballs, guys. Like, even in game 6.
Meatball like pitches or people?
Yeah, hey, pitches. They're both in great shape. But it's from Gilbert in game 6. Like, there were some pitches that should have been hit to the moon. And this is what you run into, guys, when pitchers are tired. It's the middle of October. A lot of them have already thrown career-high workloads, or they've come back from injuries and they're trying to catch up. You see pitches get hung. And going back through this series, outside of Bryce Miller, I've seen a lot of hung pitches. I've seen Seattle inviting power from the Blue Jays, and I think they should be awfully eager in this game to be attacking early and doing some of that big damage. I think going back to the start of the series, when the Jays dropped games 1 and 2, they were being too passive. They were looking to take a walk, maybe hit a single. I think they need to look to do damage. They need to look to land the big blow, and I think they're fully capable of it, because I don't know if this guy is going to be painting the corners and perfectly locating everything, maybe in the middle of June, but on October 20th, it's a little harder. So I think there's going to be a knockout punch for the Blue Jays to take here pretty early. And what they need to avoid, guys, is a 0-0, 1-1 game, 5th inning, and the bullpens take over. I like Seattle's bullpen a little better than Toronto's right now. I think they've got to beat the starter.
Yeah, that's a great point, Keegan. And also people, they lost game 5, but they left, I think it was 18 runners on base, which is indicative of the offense still clicking. So it seems as though that's now 4 games straight. And when this team's bats are hot, they're almost undeniable at the plate because they feed off one another. And there's so much lineup protection 1 through 9 for all of these guys. They are not just a top heavy batting order.
Yeah, it's a lineup advantage for sure. And I think guys even when you get to the bottom 3, when you're getting to the bottom 3, the Blue Jays, they might even have Ernie Clement down there. And Ernie is quietly like a superstar of these playoffs. I can't say enough about the guy. The Mariners don't have much production at all from their bottom 3. So you're getting a bit of a soft spot. And that really helps when it comes time for bullpens. John Schneider, he can save Jeff Hoffman or Sir Anthony Dominguez for the next 3 guys. And maybe you give that bottom pocket to Yariel or Braden Fisher, someone like that. But the lineup advantage has to be towards the Blue Jays at this point. And I still do like guys that they're going to have Davis Schneider and Joey Loperfido on the bench as kind of a righty and a lefty who can come in a big spot. I know Joey Loperfido has been kind of collecting dust for a long time, but the beauty of that is that he has been practicing for one very specific moment. I bet you he has taken that traject machine where you can see the look of the pitcher and how it's thrown. He has probably taken 10,000 at-bats against one specific Mariners reliever, waiting for a moment. Maybe it comes.
That's inside baseball, baby. Keegs, leave us with this. Give us your potential article headline if the Jays win and if they lose.
Oh, baby. See, the beauty is that I don't write my headlines. So if they're good, I pretend I do. And if they're bad, I say, that wasn't me. It's got to be something to do with it being for the first time since 93, guys. I know the Mariners have never made it to a World Series. That would be cool for that organization. I get it. But when I'm thinking of stories to write tonight, I think the history of it has to be the winning story. And if they lose tonight, I think the story has to be that this is still one hell of a season that feels like the start of something again. And it feels like a group that can sustain this. Even in 15 and 16, guys, you knew the bottom was going to fall out of it soon enough. Jose Bautista was not 22 years old, right? They were built up on veterans, not much of a farm system. But even in a loss tonight, guys, I think this is the start of something. And if they can win tonight, my God, that's a David versus Goliath headline, I think, with the Dodgers, right? Did you know that there's a connection with Shohei Ohtani and the Blue Jays? I wonder if I'm going to be asked to write about that in the coming days.
The flight that never arrived.
So that's going to be fun, guys. That's going to be one hell of a World Series.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, I don't know how I said before we started here, Kyle, I don't know how I'm going to spend the rest of the day preparing for first pitch. I'm a bundle of nerves. I can't imagine what the players are feeling.
It's the thing we dream about as kids. It's a thing we dream about as sports fans. This is better than a 4-game sweep. It just is, because at its best, sports makes us feel something, and at its worst, sports also makes us feel something. And one way or another, that's exactly what we're going to get tonight. As Blue Jays fans, as Mariners fans, as fans of baseball, I'm inclined to believe that a Jays-Dodgers series is better for baseball purely from the on-field product. I love the story of Ohtani finally making a trip up to Toronto, even though he's in the wrong blue and white uniform. Maybe he's in the right one, because I think the Jays lineup is as potent as the Dodgers. But the Mariners are good too, and this is going to be great theater tonight.
The Brendan Little thing, if the Blue Jays do advance to the World Series, it reminds me of the Team Canada USA gold medal game in Vancouver. Had the USA not scored to tie the game and send it to overtime, we would not have had that moment. So I hope that we'll be able to look back and say, well, if Brendan didn't serve up that home run and then walk those 2 guys, then we wouldn't have had this game 7. So let's hope it sets the stage for a moment in which Brendan Little doesn't have to live with that. The country can rejoice and we have a Blue Jays Dodgers World Series.
Agreed. I think that's the ideal scenario, Dan.
And we're back here after the game. No matter who wins, no matter who loses. Game 7 tonight.